Hey there, Malcontents. This here is the Malcontent. We are in Portland, Oregon now. It's been a busy day. It's gonna be a long ass day. We will probably do 3 streams. We're gonna stream here. We'll probably shut the stream down. We'll come back because we're going to a different location. We're gonna shut that stream down. And then we'll come back a third time. Might keep the stream rolling on the second one. We're here for a candlelight vigil for Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor was shot during a botched no-knock warrant raid. And the story behind that of what we've learned is the no-knock warrant was invalid and wasn't needed, and we've since learned that no charges at all. All charges were dropped on Breonna Taylor's boyfriend. He will not be charged with anything, and there's been no justice in Louisville, and there won't be justice for this because it's run its course through the grand jury, and the case that was presented to the grand jury was a case that they weren't presented with, a homicide case or even a manslaughter case, and that's what the juror said. And so here we are of what is going to be the start of a season of a lot more vigils like this over the next few months. And so with that, we'll go ahead, flip the camera around. And just like earlier today, there may be times when you're like, why is he pointing it that way or this way? It's because I'm multitasking and taking multiple photos.
Thank you, everybody, for
and when the
coming out. We
speakers start,
appreciate your presence. We are finalizing our setup and getting everything situated for us to get started and begin at 6:30. So we're about 15-12 minutes away. Everybody hang tight. Make sure that we have some opportunity to pay homage over here at our memorial. Otherwise, just kind of hang tight, enjoy the music.
Sorry about
and
this.
We'll be ready to go at about 6:30. Thank you very much.
I'm looking through menu on the camera, and I'm going to be looking all day long, basically, because I wasn't looking in the right place. That person that's setting up the flowers around there gives you a sense of scale, just how big and beautiful this portrait is. It really is spectacular. It is backlit, and so it's in a sense reversible. When you see it from the backside, it's still clearly Breonna Taylor, but in a white and gold instead of in a black and white, which is really cool. So there'll be we have there's more people here than it appears. People are socially distanced. And there's people churning in. but it is a relatively small group, but a passionate group. If you're just tuning in, we are live. Actually, let me move. We are live. We are in Portland. We're at a candlelight vigil for Breonna Taylor, the 1-year memorial of her death. And her death was a year ago this week. They will be starting. They'll be starting the ceremony here in about 7 minutes. Excuse me. be starting at any moment. There are more people than what were here earlier. The candles are lit.
Good evening, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are here to honor and remember a beautiful life taken too soon by thoughtless aggression and brutality. We stand here in the wake of a painfully sobering realization that though we have traversed a great distance in the pursuit of liberty and freedom, the road paved before us still stretches as far as the eye can see. In the past year, we've seen positive legislation as a result of your hard work, your actions, but we know there's still much work left to be done. We've seen dollars snatched away from the powers that seek to subjugate Black and brown citizens, but we know there's still much work left to be done. Allow tonight to be a reminder of that. And let us not suppress or resent the pain embedded in our DNA, but walk with it in tandem until we have conquered it. We appreciate you guys for coming out. We ask that you continue to social distance and wear your masks. At the end of the vigil, there'll be an opportunity to release paper lanterns, down at Burnside in Breonna's name. Thank you so much. We love you.
Hi guys, my name is Emma. I'm a co-founder of Rose City Justice, and I just wanted to thank you for coming out tonight. So I'm going to talk to you about some policy things regarding Breonna's case, starting with what no-knock warrants are. So a no-knock warrant allows police to enter a home with force by no warning. A 2014 American Civil Liberties Union report on police militarization found that 42% of SWAT team raids targeted Black people and 12% Hispanic. A case highlighted in a report involved a Georgia SWAT team that threw a flashbang grenade into a playpen, severely injuring a 1-year-old child who was placed in a medically induced coma. We are here today because 1 year ago, another innocent life was taken due to our our law enforcement system. The ripple effect of the Breonna Taylor Act is also a great start. The mayor of Santa Fe, New Mexico, with the backing of the police department last month, proposed an ordinance to no-knock warrants, banning them. The bill requires all officers involved in executing search warrants to activate their body cameras. Tennessee State Senator Akabari is proposing legislation that should require law enforcement officers statewide to knock and identify themselves before entering a home. The Memphis Police Department banned no-knock warrants in June, according to the station. The Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department announced in July that it is no longer authorizing no-knock warrants. IMPD officers will not participate in execution of such warrants, according to the station. This includes assisting other law enforcement agencies. The San Antonio, Texas City Council is considering a ban on no-knock warrants. Police Chief William McManus has said his department was putting final touches on a policy to allow no-knock warrants only in rare cases where exigent circumstances that pose a serious threat to the safety of the officers or members of the public, according to the station. The department suspended its no-knock policy in June. Virginia Governor Northam ceremoniously signed Breonna's law bill into Georgia books December 2020 with her family present. Thank you.
Hello, y'all. I'm known as Protest Mom, aka Elizabeth. Thank you guys so much for coming out here tonight. There's a few things I'm going to speak about tonight. So I was blessed and honored to go out to Louisville and spend some time with Breonna's family. Definitely an honor and a lot to carry with you. When you get to be around the family, when you actually get to meet Miss Tamika for the first time, to see her softness, to feel her energy that is just so pure and so natural in her, even while she's grieving and being in the public eye, and still has so much love and admiration for everybody. It's just awing, you guys. And to see that from Miss Tamika, I could only imagine what Breonna's energy truly was. I imagine truly everything that you've ever heard about her is spot on. And the fact that, as Miss Tamika said, she was living life while saving lives. And I truly believe to the core of me that she was a special human being with energy that this world desperately needed. With that, the first thing that I'm going to read out is actually the demands for Breonna, and this is what they keep at Injustice Park, and it's there at all times. The first demand the mayor and city council address the use of force by LMPD. Number 2, fire and revoke the pensions of the officers that murdered Breonna Taylor. Arrest, charge, and convict Jonathan Mattingly, Brett Hankinson, and Miles Cosgrove for this crime. Yes. Justice, please. Ensure the newly requested special prosecutor, State AG Daniel Cameron, seek full transparency and accountability. Removed qualified immunity for LMPD. Legislate a penalty for officers that do not have body camera footage of a shooting. When a police officer is convicted of murder, their pension should be transferred to the victim's family. Number 7, if police officers lie in the police report, there must be a system of accountability by a civilian review board that can ultimately lead to the officer being fired and their pensions revoked. Number 8, drop all charges against protesters that were not caught in the act of committing vandalism or violence towards anybody. Number 9, all arrest warrants be randomly assigned to judges. Number 10, allow access to health and safety resources against the elements for people that includes and is not limited to shade, water, food, and medical supplies. Now, this is something else I chose to read today. They have the values of Injustice Park. And the reason that I felt that this was important in this situation, as Portland being such a forerunner of everything that's going on for Black Lives Matter when it comes to protesting and all the attention that's being brought to it. All of us struggle out here. We all have our own personal issues too while we're trying to be out here. We all have different energies and different vibes that come across each other. But we've all got to remember we're all fighting the same fight. And if we're not unified in that fight, there's no point on fighting. So here's the values of Injustice Park. Injustice Square Park is meant to heal not only the death of Breonna, Yaya, and Tyler, it is also part of a larger movement meant to heal the division that 400 years of systematic injustice created in our communities and nation. Number 2, education. Injustice Square Park is meant to educate those who are ignorant on how systemic injustice have infected the Black community. However, in our fight for justice, we must also educate ourselves and one another. We must value education in this movement because education is a vehicle of liberation. Number 3, justice. Injustice Square Park is meant to create justice for Breonna, Yaya, Tyler, and also Travis. Everybody's heard about Travis that's passed away. We also acknowledge that justice is a hard fight, and we must continue to support one another through this process. Justice is a marathon, not a sprint, and we cannot have equality without equity. We must work for a day where justice can be served without sacrifice. Number 4, intersectionality. We know only true justice can be attained when we allow everyone a seat at the table, regardless of race, sexuality, gender, socioeconomic status, or education. This movement is a movement for everyone because all Black lives matter and all Black lives face a multitude of issues. We also know that this movement depends on allies. We appreciate the allies who stand beside us in this continued fight for justice for Black lives. Number 5, safety and community. We acknowledge that we need to keep ourselves and others safe. Injustice Square Park should be a welcoming community. Safety and community can coexist. The first step to division is doubting the person fighting alongside of you. Be wary of infiltrators, but welcome to those who are here to help. Number 6, humanity. We are all humans. We all make mistakes. This is a space to be human, to forgive one another, and to create not only just a system, but actual people. Number 7, transformation. Justice work is revolutionary. This will change not only Louisville, but Kentucky, not only Kentucky, but the United States, not only the United States, but the world. We must continue to fight because we know this is a revolution, and a revolution is not optional. The last part I want to talk about is what a lot of us miss when you're not there in Louisville. As you can see up on the statue with Breonna, there are a few other faces up there. Those faces include Travis Nagji. He was recently killed, and he was the one everybody saw out there all the time with the megaphone. He was huge in the protest. I got the pleasure of meeting him, and a wonderful kid, only 21 years old, and his life cut short. In between that, there is also Yaya. He was the owner of Yaya's Barbecue, David McAtee. He was a pillar of the community. Even the chief of police said he was a dear friend, but it didn't stop them from shooting him down. He fed the homeless, or the houseless, excuse me about that. He fed the houseless. He even fed the police officers in Louisville for free. That still didn't stop him from shooting him. In between that, you also have Chris Rock. Chris Rock was 26 years old and was also an active activist out there who was also murdered. And then I feel like and Tyler Girth. Tyler Girth was the first person to die at Injustice Park. He was a streamer out there that was out there from day one with them. When Tyler was killed, even with him being a white man, you guys, they set out a full memorial from him. And as they say, he was a soldier. He was one of them. He was more than an ally. He was family. So please, you guys, keep all the values in mind. And remember, we got to do this together. We love you guys. We appreciate you. And can I get a Breeway? Breeway! Breeway! Thank you, guys. Woo! Or hit the motherfucking freeway. Freeway! Or hit the motherfucking freeway. Freeway! Or hit the motherfucking freeway. Freeway! Or hit the motherfucking freeway.
Hi guys, my name is Keith from Rose City Justice, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about the case. If
It's really important that you're all out here, and it's really important that we know what we're fighting for, and we know exactly why our hearts are here. For a lot of women in particular, Breonna means a lot. For me, it hurts. I read the details of the case. I watched a lot of the body cam footage for hours. And every bit of information that I gathered just further angrified me. And I want you to feel this anger. I want you to feel rage at the idea of a black woman dying because she woke up and was not loud enough for police officers to hear her screaming while they're banging the door. So we're gonna hold some space for this. The focus of the police investigation on March 13th is not Taylor's apartment, but properties 10 miles away in West Louisville, where dozens of SWAT and police officers arrest an ex-boyfriend of Taylor's and his associates. So first off, the ex-boyfriend was not at Taylor's home. So if anyone wants to give you that information and say that, call bullshit. They seize evidence, including drugs. These officers, all of them, are wearing their body cameras, and they carry out the raid safely. What the SWAT team doesn't know is that at this time, a hastily assembled team of narcotics officers is about to raid Taylor's home across town. This team did not have body cameras on. When you look at the body cameras of the SWAT officers, they are surprised that this raid is being carried out. They say this was not a target. There was no reason to go there. You don't carry out two raids at the exact same time, 10 miles away for the same issue. They knew where he was. And the team that was qualified knew what they were doing, and no one got hurt. They don't know she has a new boyfriend, and they think she lives alone. When 7 officers begin the raid at 12:40 a.m., they notice the lights are off except for the flicker of a TV in a bedroom. Inside, Taylor had dozed off while watching a movie with her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker. Adjacent is the bedroom of Taylor's sister. She's not home. A hallway from the bedroom leads to a living area, and the apartment's entrance is in this breezeway. The only light is this lamp opposite her door, where now the police begin to stack. They begin to knock, they begin to bang, and a man emerges from the apartment directly above. He doesn't live there, but is picking up his child after finishing work. A squabble with the detective ensues, and the man retreats inside. The police are supposed to be conducting a knock and announce raid. Clearly, that's not what happened. Inside, Taylor wakes up to loud banging on her door. Her boyfriend, freaking out, grabs his licensed handgun. They rush to get dressed and walk towards the door, screaming, "Who's there? Who's there?" Outside, some of the police officers do admit that they heard Taylor. But after knocking and waiting around for around 45 seconds, they decide they've given her enough time to respond and ram the door. The officers make a tactical mistake. They step right into the entranceway. If anyone has ever been in the military, which I was a former Marine, you never stand in the entranceway of raiding a home at all. That's where you'll get shot. That's where you can get killed. The boyfriend shoots low, shoots the officer's leg because someone had just broken into his home. There are no lights other than Taylor's TV and the light outside. The person that he shot's name was Mattingly, and he immediately returns fire. Mattingly fires 2 more rounds when he falls and takes cover. Almost at the same time, Cosgrove moves in and fires, stepping on Mattingly in the process. Yeah, trained professionals. Awesome. He has now also put himself in what is called the fatal funnel, and although he's shooting, he appears to have no idea what's happening. He continues shooting blindly until he runs out of ammunition, a total of 16 rounds, in response to Walker's single shot. Mattingly and Cosgrove together fire 4 shots into a chair, cupboards, stove in the kitchen. 2 bullets go into the ceiling and pass through the living room in the apartment above where the man was, and his 2-year-old daughter and babysitter. 3 more shots go into the living room, wall to the right, and the officers fired 13 rounds down the hallway where Taylor and Walker stood. Taylor is shot 6 times on both sides of her body, in the abdomen, the chest, her arm and leg, and twice in her foot. In all, these officers fired 22 rounds in less than a minute. And FBI ballistic reports found that both of them shot Taylor, and that one of the 16 rounds Cosgrove fired was the lethal bullet. These other officers, geniuses, thinking they're under attack, some of the officers flee when they hear the pause in shooting. Apparently no one knows the exact precise timing of the events, but Detective Hankinson runs to the front. But the only ones shooting are police. Even though all the curtains are drawn, Hankinson blindly fires 5 bullets through the patio windows. He moves and fires 5 more rounds through the bedroom window of Taylor's sister, who isn't home. Hold that for a second. A pause in shooting and he freaks out. The only shooting is the police. He notices lights flashing off. Lights of his comrades shooting, blindly. He assumes that it's Taylor and her ex-boyfriend and fires into a room where he cannot see. Where if Taylor's sister was there, she might also be a name that we scream out. These are the people that are supposed to protect us. Two bullets fly over Walker and Taylor. Thank God none of them hits them. The bullets that go into the living area pass over Taylor's sofa and the kitchen table and smash her clock. 3 penetrate the wall and enter her neighbor's apartment. Those bullets also smash the kitchen table, hit a wall, and shatter the patio doors at the rear. A pregnant woman and her son and partner were home. Hankinson has been charged with wantonly endangering their lives. In total, the police fired 32 bullets, penetrating almost every single room in Taylor's apartment. By the way, did you know that Taylor's 2-year-old goddaughter comes to visit and stays regularly at her place? Y'all, that could have been 3 black women. How does that not make you angry? After basically destroying her entire house, 3 minutes after police came to search her home, a fatally wounded Taylor is lying on the ground, bleeding out. And 911 calls immediately after the shooting. Taylor's neighbors don't know police are carrying out a raid. And in statements police took afterwards, none of Taylor's neighbors heard the officers announce. 2 teenagers in another apartment heard a commotion, didn't hear police announce through their window at all. The family who lived directly above Taylor also heard nothing but the banging. In their statements and in interviews, over a dozen neighbors say they did not hear the police. And Attorney General Cameron's assertion rests on the account of police officers and a single witness, Aaron Sarpy, the man collecting his daughter that night who saw the police when he came outside. And Aaron also said in his first interview with investigators, Sarpy was asked what he heard when he went back inside. He heard nothing. He said he heard nothing. Months later, he's asked the question again. He says his memory is foggy, but thought that maybe the police officer did announce. Does anyone know even a little bit about psychology? He knew the police was there. He came out. They pointed a gun at him and told him to go back into his apartment. Pretty sure after a few months, you're going to say, oh, maybe they did announce because, oh, I knew they were there. So no, let's throw away everything he said the very first day, right? Because that makes sense. Because clearly he is not hyper aware, knowing that the police are just out there about to raid this woman's home. That makes a lot of sense. Clearly does. I'm not a genius, but geez. But, you know, the grand jury decided that this was the deal. They decided the conclusion rested on his entirely inconsistent account. After the raid, the scene outside is chaos. Officers tend to Mattingly, but an ambulance that had been staging nearby is nowhere to be found. They radio the SWAT officers across town, who are surprised by the call. And did you know that it is policy that you have an EMT standing by before you conduct a raid? They didn't even have the proper preparation for this raid that they conducted with this hashtag terrible team that they put together, like the three fucking stooges. And these are the people that we want to protect us. These are the people that they assume that we're going to trust them to make our lives sacred, to not kill us. And hearing details like this does not make me feel safe. It doesn't make me feel happy. It doesn't make me feel like I can call on someone if I am really in danger. Because this one woman could have been three. Taylor is on the ground for 30 minutes before anyone attends to her. Her boyfriend is screaming. My girlfriend, what's going on? What's going on? Why are you guys here? What's going on? They don't listen. He finally said, there's someone inside. She was shot. And by this time, the SWAT team is already there, freaking out. What's going on? What's going on? Why are you guys doing this? This was not a target. Police departments, y'all. Clearly organized. Clearly with our best interests at heart. Say your name.
Breonna Taylor.
Say it like you're angry. Breonna Taylor! Breonna Taylor! This case weighed really, really heavily on me. And if you're gonna fight, if you're really, really, really gonna fight, it's not just the streets. It's the police institution. It's the judges. It's the DAs who sell out to the system. Black, white, Native American, give no shits. The system is what we should be fighting. It is changing education. It is fighting the judges, presidency, holding them accountable. Really holding them accountable. If you're going to say her name, say it loud and fight hard.
Hey everybody. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate you participating, taking the time out of your life to come out and pay respects to another life. Taking the time out of your life to become better informed and knowledgeable about the situation that led to this loss of life. It's important, and thank you. What I want to do right now is twofold. Take a moment of silence, not only for Breonna Taylor, but also in respects of a land acknowledgement. So I'm just going to read some words and draw up some intention around what that means and what we should understand about, you know, the place that we are, how we got here, the institutions and the mechanisms that are in place that allowed for this brutal killing to occur. They're not separate things. It's not something that exists in the past. It's something that is ongoing, something that exists in the moment, in the present. And it is set up to continue to function in the future. And it is our job, our responsibility, for those who understand and for those who are willing to fight against wrong, against unrighteousness, against like oppression and hate. It is our responsibility to stand up and resist. So what we now call Portland, Oregon, and Multnomah County were the traditional lands of the Multnomah, Cathlamet, Clackamas, Tumwater, Tualatin, Kayapuyah, Wasco, Malala, Cowlitz, Chinook, and many other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia River. Today, people from these bands have become part of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde and the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Nations, as well as the Chinook Nations, Cowlitz Nations in Washington State, along with the Warm Springs Nation. Acknowledgement of the original people of the land is a simple yet powerful practice that demonstrates respect by making indigenous people's history and culture visible, as it is a small step along the path towards reconciliation and repair. Acknowledging the original people of the land is a contemporary practice reflective of indigenous protocols to honor the land and to open spaces with reverence in its modern context. This practice, one, acknowledges the ancestors that were here before us and counters the doctrine of discovery, gives visibility to indigenous people who are part of our community, recognizes tribal people as their own sovereign nations and individuals, spreads awareness about the historical context that has led to this moment, and supports truth-telling, provides space to reflect on ways non-natives currently inhabit the land, dominate resource consumption, and exist within a still active process of colonization. Also creates a space to build relationships with indigenous people and communities and with the land, inspires ongoing action and relationship.
I'll tell you later what it is.
Anybody can do an acknowledgement of the original people of the land. To learn more about the indigenous people of the lands you live on and work, visit nativeland.ca for a comprehensive global map. For more information, including step-by-step guide to starting this practice with your organization,
If one of the mods and admins
visit
caught
the
that
U.S.
URL,
Department of Arts
could
and
you
Culture
do that
to download a resource
nativelands.ca?
created
I think that was the
in
URL. Could somebody
partnership
put
with
that in the
Native allies
comments,
and
please? Thank you.
organizations. If anybody could at this time, just please I see some folks are seated and some people are standing. If you could just take your right hand and raise it to the sky. And while you're here, with the intention of making the connection, take your left hand and place it on the earth. And while you're here, take a breath. And take a few, and we'll take a moment of silence in reverence of the place that we are, as well as the institutions that allowed for this moment that we're respecting here today, the death of Breonna Taylor. Let's go ahead and take a moment. Excuse me, thank you for taking the time. It is important to take a moment out of our everyday lives and just reflect on what brought us here to this place and what we can do in our moments to provide a better future for those that follow us. One of the things that kind of gets lost in this, especially as we've heard a lot of voices screaming out Breonna Taylor, along with the voices of screaming out George Floyd. George Floyd's name kicked off a lot of like this uprise around social justice. And it was in the midst of like doing some research and becoming more aware that we realized that Breonna Taylor was somebody who had also lost their life at the hands of this injustice. Because they're now here as this march. But if anybody's really aware, none of this protesting and demonstrating ever really occurred until May, June, on into the summertime. And it was like looking back, and it was like people who cared and people who understood and who had this information who said, yo, we need to pay attention to Breonna Taylor's murder. We need to pay attention to this. This is something that's also important. But this isn't what kicked off this whole thing. And right now we're in like International Women's Month, March. And one of the things that we should recognize and realize is that women, particularly black women, are disproportionately murdered by police, even outpacing proportionally black men. But it's not as sensational. It's not as newsworthy. So we don't hear about them in the same way that we do with George Floyd or a boy like Tamir Rice or Mike Brown. We have to be reminded of Breonna Taylor as an afterthought. And that's not right. But we have the opportunity to make it right. Again, I appreciate you guys taking the opportunity, taking the time to acknowledge the land the process that we got to this point and the effects that brought us here to commemorate a life taken prematurely. Now, it's not only us, but folks throughout the media, some well-known people have been reporting and speaking and creating content around these happenings. So if you would direct your attention to the building behind us, we have a projector. We're going to share with you guys some of the show from Trevor Noah, where he's kind of talking about Breonna Taylor and the circumstances around like her passing. Thank you.
As part of Fair Use Copyright Act, we are reporting the news, and this is part of our coverage and the presentation that is going on at the memorial. Dude, it's so good to see you. Good to see you too, man. Yeah. We'll have time.
Hello? Oh, this still works. I wasn't expecting that. We blew a little power, so we're turning that back on. But yeah, we really appreciate you being here and taking the moments to be here with Breonna.
Yeah.
Because she's why we're here today in this Women's Month. I was downtown earlier, just near Pioneer Square, and I was there, and I was just watching people move
really
through the
serious,
world.
So don't pick it up. We'll talk later. We'll talk later. But what we're doing is a little pause here. That white that I gave you, all of the, when they do like pepper spray, that's what smears your lens. That'll take that residue off your lens when you get hosed.
Then we won't make any change ever. Today matters. Yesterday mattered too. But it's our responsibility to make sure that the people who aren't here right now still remember why today matters. Right.
They lost the PA system, that's why.
Like it's on us to invite our friends here. It's on us to remind people, did you know that last year Breonna Taylor was murdered in her house? Like that was a year ago. And what has actually happened? What change have we actually made?
It's on us. And now there's a video.
If you're just tuning in, we're live. We're in Portland, Oregon. This is a memorial for Breonna Taylor. They're getting ready to show a video from Trevor Noah. We're just waiting for it to load. They had lost power to their system, so they're rebooting stuff. We don't have audio at the moment.
It's still coming.
Become the rallying call for people crying out for justice and change. And that name is Breonna Taylor.
Public pressure is now mounting, with protests and celebrities speaking out.
Breonna Taylor's life mattered.
Do you know what happened to Breonna Taylor?
Celebrities from Ali Wong, Kerry Washington, and Cardi B saying her name.
Do you know Breonna Taylor's story, her whole story?
I want her family to know, and I want the state of Kentucky to know that we feel for it and we want justice.
The WNBA dedicating this season to social justice.
We are dedicating this season to Breonna Taylor, an outstanding EMT who was murdered over 130 days ago.
For the first time in 20 years, Oprah Winfrey is giving up the cover of her own magazine, putting the late Breonna Taylor on it instead.
Yes, from LeBron James to Oprah Winfrey, Meghan Markle to the WNBA, the tidal wave of support for Breonna Taylor has been swelling day by day. And this support has even spread to social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok, which is fantastic, but it's unfortunately also come with downsides. Because if you're online a lot, you've probably seen Breonna Taylor being turned into just another meme. You know, whether it's putting her name on a picture of Rihanna's ass or mentioning her death in some caption of a random selfie. And the truth is, it's like this is a weird amalgam of a few things. You have this relatively new phenomenon of using social media to push for justice and reform, which is good. But the downside of that, the downside is social media is a medium that doesn't always do sincerity well. It doesn't do selflessness well. That struggles to give tragedies the gravity that they deserve. And so you have maybe well-intentioned people who want to keep the name trending and they want to see Breonna Taylor get justice, but now essentially using her name as a punchline. Because memes are not the best way to honor someone who has passed. I mean, it's the reason Obama didn't dab at John Lewis's funeral today. And so today on the show, as painful as it is, I wanted to take the time to either remind people or inform people about the story of Breonna Taylor, not as a slogan or a post on your social media feed, but as a human being.
Breonna Taylor, she's more than just a movement, a hashtag, or a moment.
The 26-year-old was an EMT working in emergency rooms at 2 hospitals and helping respond to the coronavirus outbreak.
She loved to help people. Breonna loved family. She was a very sweet person, and she went out of her way for anybody.
26 and full of life. This is Breonna Taylor. Etched in her family's memories. Dancing with friends.
Girl, let me wipe your eyes. Everything gonna be all right.
Singing her favorite songs. Buying her dream car.
She loved life. She loved to be around friends and family. She had it figured out.
That's right. Breonna Taylor was a friend, a daughter, an EMT worker working to help save people's lives, and apparently one hell of a TikTok dancer. And by the way, it's actually nice to see the news covering a black person's death at the hands of police by using their good pictures and not that one picture that makes us all look like we've robbed 50 banks. I mean, you know Breonna Taylor was a great person because if she had jaywalked once, the news would have been like frequent jaywalker and occasional EMT. Breonna Taylor was sadly killed by the police. So for 26 years, Breonna Taylor lived her life to the fullest. But then on a random night out of nowhere, the Louisville Police Department turned her into a statistic.
On March 13th, as Breonna and her boyfriend, Kenny Walker, lay asleep in their bed, plainclothes police officers broke down their door using a battering ram on a no-knock drug warrant. Kenny, thinking intruders were violently breaking in, grabbed his licensed gun.
Walker says they didn't say they were the police before he fired off a shot from a gun. The officers responded with a hail of gunfire.
When the door comes off the hinges, it's happening fast, like it was like an explosion.
Walker said he purposely aimed his gun towards the ground. Sergeant John Mattingly was struck in the leg and was one of 3 officers who returned fire. Detective Brett Hankerson was standing outside and fired 10 rounds through a closed and curtained patio door. According to Louisville's police chief, his blind shooting displayed an extreme indifference to the value of human life. The gunshots whizzed through walls, windows, bullet holes were found everywhere, in the kitchen, bedrooms, in a neighbor's apartment with small children nearby. Multiple neighbors called 911 asking for police, only finding out later it was the police.
You know, almost every time we hear a story involving a police shooting, I'm always shocked at how badly trained and not in control the police seem. Breonna Taylor's boyfriend was lying in bed, heard his door get smashed in, grabbed his legal firearm, and had the presence of mind to try and injure the intruder by aiming down. But the cops, who are supposed to be trained professionals, they burst in like they get paid by the bullets. And for anyone who has the audacity to blame Breonna's boyfriend for shooting at the cops, please answer me this question. If America tells people to get a gun to defend themselves from intruders, but the cops are the intruders breaking down the door without knocking, what are you supposed to do? To an innocent person, there is zero difference between a no-knock raid and a home invasion. If someone busts down your door in the middle of the night, you're gonna think that they're intruders, not, oh, the cops might be here, or damn, Uber Eats is coming in hot tonight. In fact, it would be weird if you didn't use your gun in that situation. I mean, if not then, what are you saving it for? To be honest, we shouldn't even be calling these things no-knock raids. That gives them too much credit. We should just drop the euphemism and call it what it is. A home invasion where police get to act like they're in a video game. The police break down the door without warning. They shoot Breonna Taylor 8 times in her own house. And what makes the story even more tragic is that the cops should never have even been in that house in the first place.
Police got 5 warrants approved. 4 were for suspected drug dealers and suspected drug houses. Lumped into that with similar language was the warrant for Breonna Taylor's apartment. Under the suspicion, she was involved with handling money and drugs for an alleged Louisville drug dealer, her ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover. She hadn't dated Glover in months. A package police say they saw Glover picking up at Taylor's apartment was likely a pair of shoes, according to the family attorney. And despite what officers were told before the raid, Breonna Taylor certainly did not live alone. When it was all over, police found no drugs, no money in her apartment.
Before going into Breonna Taylor's home, police were actually warned that she would be very little threat, if no threat at all.
Yes, they used bogus intel and they came in guns blazing, even though they knew she wasn't a threat. Every step of the way this investigation ran, the police screwed up. They made 1 million mistakes, which is 1 million more than any black person is ever allowed to make. And honestly, with the amount of mistakes that the police made throughout the entire process, I don't even know if it's fair to call them mistakes at this point. Because a mistake is something you do by accident. But these cops blatantly ignored so many protocols and so much information. At some point, it moves from a mistake to just actively not giving a f***. And it's bad enough when you learn what these people did in the heat of the moment. But in a way, what's even worse is what they did when they had the time to think.
Breonna Taylor was alive for several minutes after police shot her 5 times, and for more than 20 minutes after Taylor was fatally shot. Taylor, 26, lay where she fell in her hallway, receiving no medical attention, according to dispatch logs.
You see her boyfriend after the shooting being arrested here in the parking lot. Police tried to charge him with attempting to kill police officers, but those charges were later dropped.
A recently released police incident report from that night is mostly blank. It claims there was no forced entry. It does list Taylor as a victim of a crime.
And under injuries, it says none, even though Taylor was shot 8 times.
You see, it's one thing to quote unquote shoot someone accidentally 8 times, but leaving her on the floor without any medical attention, that isn't an accident. That's just a blatant disregard for black life. And on top of all of that, the cops submitted a mostly blank incident report. Really? You really couldn't think of anything that you could write on that report? Not even, oh, we f***ed up? These officers are so bad they couldn't even solve the murder that they committed? And right now, the Attorney General of Kentucky says that they're investigating Breonna Taylor's killing. But it's been 4 months. And in that 4 months, they've seemed to find a way to arrest somebody.
It's been more than 4 months since 26-year-old EMT Breonna Taylor was shot and killed in her own home. So far, there have been no charges filed against the 3 white officers involved. By comparison, though, this week, it took just 1 day to file felony charges against more than 80 protesters who went to the home of Kentucky Attorney General calling for justice in Breonna's killing.
Every single day in America, we're reminded that there are different criminal justice systems, depending on who you are.
Truth.
There's one for the rich, and there's one for the poor.
Truth.
There's one for white people, and there's a different one for black people.
Truth.
And apparently, there's also one for those who oppose police brutality and for those who commit it. Now, I won't lie, the one bit of hope that I have seen from this is that the protests are actually getting results. Because a few months ago, almost nobody had heard of this case. But now, thanks to people taking to the streets and relentlessly pushing for justice, some changes are being made, including Breonna's law, which bans no-knock warrants in Louisville. But the truth is, we have so much more work to do. Because what happened to Breonna Taylor, it's not just a few bad cops. It's not even really just about the cops. It's also the legislature that gave them the power to break into houses, the judge that signed the warrant, the police department that didn't act against these officers, and the county that charged the protesters for challenging these rules. In other words, what happened to Breonna Taylor wasn't a failure of the system. It was the system working as it's intended. And that is why people are fighting for the system to be changed. Well, that's our show for tonight. But before we go, I just wanted to remind you that America is facing a nationwide poll worker shortage. Now, because most poll workers are over 60 and coronavirus is still in the air, many of them are understandably not showing up. But fewer poll workers means fewer polling stations are open, and it also means longer lines that not everybody can afford to stay and wait in. But the good news is, most poll working is paid, and in some states, poll workers can be as young as 16 to join in. Now, I just wanted to say thank you, because over the past few weeks, we've partnered with Power to the Polls to ask all of you to join in if you can, and over 60,000 of you have signed up. So thank you to all of you who are giving your time to save your granny and protect democracy. And if you haven't signed up yet, but you want to join, all you got to do is go to the link below.
That's fucking awesome. It was.
Hey y'all, what y'all think about that? Woo! Did we learn something? There's a lot going on, right? It's a lot that goes into this. It's a lot of different aspects of like government, public policy, media coverage, all those things kind of converge into one. And this is like one of those stories that kind of embodies a lot of those aspects. Thank you for paying attention to it. So right now, I would like to bring you guys' attention to a spoken word artist, a performer from Portland, a local artist who has been doing a lot to inspire folks around community action and moving forward together under like positive pretenses for a long time. Like she has a beautiful spirit. I was hoping to like introduce her like before, but I wasn't checking my phone, so I didn't know that she had arrived. But she's here now, and I hope you guys give a round of applause for Black Butterfly.
Blessings, everybody. How y'all doing? I would love to see you under different circumstances, but this is what it is. There's been a lot of death and dying, and we need to make sure that we live. We live for Breonna. We have to fight for Breonna. Make sure that you live your life in a way that upholds what righteousness and what good community members look like. I'm gonna share a couple of pieces and then I'm gonna let you go on with the rest of the vigil, because this is something that I would rather be doing to celebrate life. Racial tensions, civil unrest, lack of trust, indecisiveness, the weight of the world on our shoulders rest. What are you made of? What are you afraid of? Times are hard to comprehend. Some folks may not understand. Purpose is the goal. Walk the path you chose. Now is all we have. The before we know has passed. We must create anew. What's inside of you? See, the ways of old we know. We got to earn to grow. Undo what has been done and return to the one, and may I bring my best self. May I be my best self. Can we show our best selves? Can we know our best selves? Can we bring our best selves? I, like you, am reeling from the effects of civil unrest, trying to take to task the question that have been asked for my youth. Like, does anyone still tell the truth? They say to me, Miss Darlene, what happened to things like honesty and integrity? See, you keep telling us about community and all we see is greed. People are lying and babies are crying for answers, and I, like you, am trying to find a solution to the pollution that we breathe. And It's hard to believe. In 2021, we are still sharecropping in the land that we would never own, in a place that is not our home, and folks still have the nerve to bang over turf. Are you serious? See, we got the Bloods, we got the Crips, we got the Democrats and the Republicans. See, I, like you, am trying to be free in a caged society where martial law is right around the corner, and I want to break out in the verse of make me want to holler and throw up both my hands. Make me want to holler and throw up both my hands. Make me want to holler and throw up both my hands. Does this look familiar? Please, don't shoot. See, I, like you, am trying to be free in a caged society where martial law is right around the corner, and I want to break out in the verse of make me want to holler and throw up both my hands, because we living in the same times. And the newspaper reads like 1966, and remember we had Jena 6 on trial, and some folks are still in denial about the KKK on your street, on my street, in the White House, in the next house, and on Wall Street. People are betting that your life will never be the same. And yeah, they still play that game. 9/11. Do you remember? Because out of sight is out of mind, because time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. And I, like you, want to know what that's going to look like. Rest in love, Breonna. May your soul be at peace. May we dismantle the police. Be well.
That was tremendous.
Get another round of applause for Black Butterfly, y'all. That was incredible. She's a powerful woman. All right. Next up, we have another video that we recorded earlier for this event from our commissioner, Ms. Hardesty.
Hi, I'm Joanne Hardesty, Portland City Commissioner, and I want to thank you for gathering in Breonna Taylor's name today. This has been a really hard week when you think about all the Black people who've lost their lives at the hands of law enforcement for no reason. Just 2 days ago, the City Council approved a $2 million settlement for Quanice Hayes, who was 17 years old and shot point blank by a police officer while he was following his commands. We've seen this happen over and over and over again, and what we know is we have to fundamentally change policing as we know it in our community and, quite frankly, in our country. The good news is because of your help, we have raised the profile of this issue so that no one can say they don't know that we have two types of police forces. One that shows up when white nationalists take to the street, and another one that shows up when Black Lives Matter takes to the street. We can no longer accept this as the norm, and with your help, we got 26-217 passed on the ballot by 82% of the voters. When I saw you in person, I told you it's because of you we got the police budget cut, and it's because of you that 82% of voters said yes to this ballot measure. We got a lot of work to do to have a police department that serves us all, and I need your help, because if we're ever going to get to our vision of what community safety looks like, we're going to need community members pushing the envelope, demanding more, demanding it faster, and demanding that we don't go back to status quo. As you may have already heard, there's this active communication campaign trying to sell us on the need for more police. The reality is that no police in the state of Oregon are being trained. Because guess what? DPSST, the state training facility, is still closed. We need to push back against this narrative, and we need to invest in community solutions. We know in pandemics and in economic crises, violence goes up. But we don't hear the police talking about the increase in child abuse, the increase in domestic violence. We don't hear talk about the increase in other types of crime. You're being led to believe that Black and brown people are out shooting up our community every single night. Don't buy the hype. Investigate and activate and make sure that your voice is heard throughout this budget process, because You will make the difference as to what we end up investing in as we move through this year. 2021 is the year that we have to make sure Black Lives Matter isn't a slogan, but it is a way of life. With your help, we can make that happen. Thank you. Have a good day.
Hi. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some bills that right now are trying to become laws. None of these bills alone will fix a system that is as flawed as the American policing system, but they're changes that can have an impact, and it's a place for us to start. This is a federal bill that is happening right now, HB 1280, George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2021. This bill is broken into 5 parts. Police accountability, which would reform qualified immunity. Policing transparency through data, which would create a national police misconduct registry. Improving police training and policies. This one would ban no-knock warrants for drug cases. Closing the law enforcement consent loophole makes it illegal for cops to have sex with you while you are detained. This law passed the House on March 3rd and is now going to the Senate. You, as a citizen of America, if you are lucky enough to be a citizen of America, you can call your senator tomorrow and tell them that the minimum thing that we could do is to pass HB 1280, George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And we have 2 bills also happening in the state of Oregon right now as well. House Bill 2930, this bill would create a public database that would list all complaints against officers. It would tell you whether discipline was issued, and it would tell you what it was, if it was. This is currently in the House, the state House, with work schedules scheduled for March 17th. That is this upcoming week. House Bill 3145. This bill would let police forces adopt discipline guidelines without negotiating with a police union. This would also restrict the overturning of police discipline. This bill is currently in the Oregon State House with work session scheduled for March 15. This is happening now, and your representatives need to hear from you. They need to hear how important this is for us, because we will not accept this flawed American policing system to just be the way because it's the way it has been. Please. This is one small thing that we can all do. If you are better on the phone, call them. If you're nervous on the phone, write them a letter. They need to hear from you. And this is really some of the bare minimum. Bare minimum. Right now, it is legal for a cop to have sex with you when you are detained. We are fighting to make that shit illegal now in 2021. Thank you.
Oh. I sure can. Well, you might have just noticed a new face. That's Anna. She's glorious. Welcome her. She's passionate about policy, she's passionate about change, she's passionate about making sure that people know how to participate in their community, in their government, because the government is made to serve us. It is here to protect and provide for us. And if they don't know what we want, we should make them know, right? So I stole this paper from her because I wanted you to write it down, because she said the numbers, and I want to make sure you know the numbers, right? So the ones in Oregon, we have House Bill 2930. What was it?
Text your signal groups.
What was it? One more time. And who are you going to text about that? Everyone? Kevin. Keith says text your signal group. Text them right now, 2930. The next one was 3145. What's that? 3145. One more time, 3145. Thank you. Y'all, we gotta do the work. And it's effort, like it is effort. It takes time. It takes time to make a phone call, it takes time to write an email, it takes time to write a letter. But it's so small, like it's such a small thing really when you think about it in the context of your life. Like it's less time than we're scrolling on Instagram. It's a small ask, and it will save people's lives. It will save someone from getting legally raped by the police when they're in custody.
What are the federal bills?
Yeah, the federal bill, yes ma'am. George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2021, that is HB 1280. 1280.
HB 1280.
1280.
1280.
All right. 1280. That's smarter. That's Solomon. So my name's Chrissy, and I'm gonna sing you a song. And it's one you may have heard before, and it's one where I need your help when it gets to the good part. So I'm gonna sing a part, and I want you to repeat it back to me, and I'm gonna sing it once, and then you sing it, and then I sing it, and we're gonna do it 3 times. And I'll hold up my fingers, and it'll be a thing, and then I'll start singing. And while I'm singing, we're gonna have some names on this screen behind me, names that Anna collected for us, and it was a challenge to limit to only 100. And it was a challenge to look at and to think through and to be a part of, and she did that work. Like Keith did that work, diving into this case to tell you about Breonna Taylor. Like they're doing the work and it hurts, like it's a painful job. But like if you don't know, how you gonna know? Like we're owning it to help spread the knowledge. But these names are names of people who have been murdered in their homes by police. So I want you to resonate and think on them while we're singing this song. And I'm gonna start with the chorus and you sing along, or it's a repeat. I'll do it and then you do it. Okay, here we go. How many children, how many sons, how many daughters, count everyone. How many children, how many sons, how many daughters, count everyone. How many children, how many sons, how many daughters, count everyone.
How many children, how many sons, how many daughters, count everyone.
One more time all together. How many children, how many sons, how many daughters, count everyone. All right, last one. Black skies, storms are coming. Sorry, I started with the 3rd verse. Can't do it. Gotta start over. I know life ain't easy. Sometimes it's damn hard. These streets ain't so breezy. Through it we've made it this far. I feel I've got to cry out. My heart is filled with much doubt. Who knows that again I will rise, and again I will rise, and again I will rise, and again I will rise, because the new dawn waits for no one. I feel you not believing that this hatred still abides. It smolders, never leaving, until it rises like the tide. I felt the pain and the fear, our cries falling on deaf ears. Who knows that again I will rise, and again I will rise, and again I will rise, and again I will rise, because the new dawn waits for no one. Sing it with me. How many children, how many sons, how many daughters, count everyone, keep it going. How many children, how many sons, how many daughters, count everyone, keep it up.
How many children, how many sons,
Louder.
how many daughters, count everyone.
Louder, I don't hear this side very much.
How many sons,
how many daughters, count everyone, how many tears must fall, how many babies, count them all, how many, black sky storms are coming. What's been churning out of sight? Our hearts and bodies humming. We won't stand idle for this fight. I feel the strength of my pride. I know truth is on my side. I know that again we will rise, and again we will rise, and again we will rise, and again we will rise, because the new dawn waits for no one. That's you. You are the uprising. That's you. Thank you. Well,
so, I will be closing you all out. Before I close you all out, I want to say one thing. Chrissy is a badass. Our other co-founder, Emma, she's a badass. What people don't know about Emma is that she helps me and Chrissy create all of the ideas behind this, and Emma has been a cornerstone to the education that we have brought since the beginning. A white ally is doing the work. Please, let's give it up for Emma. Please, please, please. So there was one more thing I really wanted Chrissy to share. And it's leading you all through an exercise. However, she felt strongly about me doing it because this is Women's History Month. And our men need to protect our women.
Yeah.
So, you will be given some ribbon and some stuff that you'll be able to put up there. But we're gonna take quite a bit of space, some intentional space. I don't want anyone leaving here without feeling something. So can I ask, other than my organizers, for complete silence? I want all of you to think, is there a woman in your life that you love? The one who raised you? The one who inspired you? Were they sweet, gentle, firm, caring, strong? Were they someone you turned to when you knew no one else would listen? How long have they been in your life? Please imagine them right now, especially the men. Or are you that said woman? Having met hundreds and thousands of people throughout your life, what small and large action have these women done to better our world, to better lesser men, to build when there is no foundation? How much investment do we put into our sisters? How much do our mothers give us their all? And how many look at us only wanting for us to stand up for them as they build us up and themselves? Who is that woman for you? Who is that woman for you? Was she a teacher, a doctor, neighbor, writer, tradeswoman? Did she go off to the military? Did she struggle to survive in poverty or the streets? What are her favorite songs that she sings with all of her heart, or makes her excited to jump and start dancing? What is her favorite show she's told you about probably a million times? How does she smile? How does she laugh? How does she look when she gets passionate, when she is ready to fight for those she loves dear? Is this woman older? Is she growing into becoming her own? How smart is she? How silly is she? How does she hug you when things are hard? What wisdom have you taken from her? And how has that changed the course of your life? How have you cared for these women? This was Breonna Taylor. This was Breonna's value. Our women, your women, these women are Breonna Taylor. Don't lose them like we lost her. May she rest in power. Think about this as you all kind of gather and do your thing. We'll go the rest of your day. Who is your Breonna Taylor? And what are your affirmations to women, to the woman in your life? And what would it do to you if you lost her or them?
Teal is going to come up and talk to you all about an event that she's hosting in about 35 minutes. But thank you all for coming out here and supporting us.
What's up, guys? My name is Teal, like the color. I'm with Black Unity PDX. I just got braces, so I talk kind of weird right now. At 8:30, we're gonna have it's kind of a march, kind of a vigil type thing. We're doing lanterns, so we're just gonna start on this side of the bridge by Burnside Bridge on 2nd Avenue at 8:30, and then we're gonna march onto the bridge. Probably be there not for that long. This event is not gonna take that long because I don't want it to be too dangerous for people on the bridge and like make it as safe as we possibly can. We were gonna march with you guys there, but if you guys want to go, then like I just have you guys rather drive over there and then have your car so that if you want to leave, you guys can leave and not have to walk back over here. So you guys, it would be awesome if you guys could all come. We're gonna have candles and flowers, and then we have about 60 lanterns. So not everybody's gonna have a lantern, but we'll have enough, and they're pretty big, so you can share a lantern with like a group of people. I guess that's all I have to say to you guys. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Hi, just a quick note. We have this retractable banner here that describes the work of Rose City Justice. There's a QR code that will link you to our link tree, which has our website, among other pages, information that you can find, research that we'll publish, and we will be creating a survey, qualitative survey, so that you can inform us on any topics that you'd like us to cover, any programming that you'd like us to cover, and we will use that feedback when we read everything. So please make sure to pass your information along, use that QR code, and make your way up to the vigil. Thank you.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry.
She's right over there. She's right there.
Teal, before you leave, can you put a mic? Oh shit, well. Not my fault, my road. With her forehead.
Okay, so bear with me here for a minute. I'm gonna see if I can position myself in a spot here where we can. I'm trying to find a spot where I can film, but I'm out of the way. And actually, I think I just found a good spot. Actually, it's a really good spot. So there was a decision. They're not going to march. They're going to do the. They're going to do the release of the lanterns, but they're not going to march there. They're going to drive. So I think what I'm going to do is head over to the Justice Center and get ready over there because I need to swap some gear out. You know, I didn't do this with pole cam. I did bring pole cam down here to Portland, so I need to swap out for pole cam. I need to get my hearing protection and a couple other things ready, and then get over to the Justice Center. And so I think that's what we're going to do next. This was beautiful. This was powerful. This was moving. For those of you who joined in and watched, thank you so much for joining and watching this tonight. Really well organized, and good to see the unity here in Portland among organizers and keeping things moving. It's really, really good to see. So I'm not gonna. While looking up their own knowledge and being able to break through barriers or even cultural barriers to push forward. That's a lot. That's a tall fucking order to have. But you got people like me, you got people like here, you got people like freaking that are out there really, really trying. Just don't keep it. Again, also like, you don't ask the victim to get better. They're victims. You finally put it together a little bit. Yeah, I did, man. I told you, I got a heart for this stuff. It really fucking matters. Like, it really fucking matters. Gotta find Ian. I'm super happy to hear what happened. That was so fun. Which part? I gotta find Ian, but equally I need not to trip and kill myself in the dark. It's darker than it appears. I don't have to find Ian. Just figure Ian's gonna need wheels. Okay, wait a minute. I know what I can do. I know he's wandering around. What is he doing? Make up his mind. I know what I can do. So, we'll set this up back right here. And y'all are just going to have to give me a minute.
Nice. Okay, cool. How'd you go? Were you guys in the whole time?
All right, Malcontent. As I said, I think what we're going to do here is start heading our way out. Can't seem to find Ian. I just figured he's going to need a ride. All right. There's part of me that was like, I need to go find a cup of coffee. And then there's other part of me that's like, that's a really shitty idea. All right, so we summarize some thoughts, and then we'll get going. It's beautiful, really beautiful what they did. This was so well done and so well prepared. I am super impressed with what they did. Powerful stuff. I learned things, and I love learning shit, and I learned some things. So what we're gonna do next, I'm gonna end the stream. If you stuck through all the almost 2 hours of this, I had said at some point there's a fair chance I would end the stream, and there you go. So I'm gonna end the stream, and then I'm gonna go head over to the Justice Center, and then one second here. Like, what is he doing? I'm all tangled, mega hella tangled in my shit. That's what's going on right now. So just give me 1 second. I'm super tangled up. There we go. Much better. I don't even know how that happened, because it's not, you know, when I'm running for my life or something, that's when sometimes when it's done and I'm like, boom, I'm all tangled up. Basically just standing for 2 hours and all my shit was screwed up. But anyway, we're good now. So what we're going to do, let me start over. What we're going to do, I'm going to shut the stream down. Probably gonna find do I want to get a cup of coffee or not? That's what I'm debating. Just, I know if I get it, then I'm gonna have to piss my brains out. There's nowhere to piss down there. So I gotta figure that out. If I want to drink anything else today, or if I just want to suck it up until I eventually get back. So the next time we're back on, which will be probably around 9 o'clock, we'll be on poll cam. And it'll be old times. So, God, I'm doing a lot of ums and ahs. I'm really working on the ums and ahs. All right, Malcontents, thank you so much for watching. Spam those hearts. You know, I didn't get to talk a lot. I'm going to be able, I don't actually know how much I'm going to talk at the DA. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to talk much. I have a feeling I'm going to be in respirator mode. And I know from the couple of times I've used it, I've tried to like weave the microphone up into that area, and it just, even when I got the microphone in there, I still sounded like the teacher from Peanuts, which isn't to say that there won't be some, I'll probably sound like Kenny for a lot of the broadcast, and I'm sure there'll probably be some explanations. That'll be very clear. Not chuds. Just people passing through. It's not chuds. So we'll see you around 9 o'clock, Malcontent. Malcontent out.